If we could all just be as cool as Nico, we'd have it made. All right. Well, it's 8. Shall we start? You know, Nico, when you do that, it reminds me of my mom. My mom will say, "Did you like my hair? I worked on it all night long." All
It's
right,
usually how
Dave.
it works.
I've got some good news. I just saved a bunch of money on my car insurance by switching to Geico. No. Um, the Canadians are going to bail us out again. I was teaching piano lessons like I always do. And I came across a page in the RCM theory book that once again explains it better than our textbook. Woo woo. So, this is their level 5 theory book. And we come to unit 4, and it says melody writing and composition. Story time with Dr. B. Basic elements of melodies. Before beginning to write your own melodies, it is helpful to review the basic elements of melodic construction. Motives are short rhythmic or melodic ideas that are used as building blocks to create melodies. Motives can be imitated or altered throughout a piece of music. So there is your Canada definition of a motive. Motives are short, rhythmic, or melodic ideas that are used as building blocks to create melodies. Motives can be imitated or altered throughout a piece of music. All right, next, phrases. Phrases are musical sentences. The notes in a phrase can create a unit of musical thought. All phrases end with a melodic cadence that serves as musical punctuation. Some phrases sound unfinished, while others sound finished or complete. Phrases can be marked with slurs. Are we all right with that definition? One more time for all you slackers that were late. Phrases are musical sentences. The notes in a phrase create a unit of musical thought. All phrases end with a melodic cadence that serves as musical punctuation. Some phrases sound unfinished, while others sound finished or complete. Phrases can be marked with slurs. All right. Melodic motion. Melodic motion may consist of repeated notes, steps, skips, and leaps. Melodic motion may consist of repeated notes, steps, skips, or leaps. That's the only thing you can do. If you have a rest, it is not melodic motion. All right, here we go. Stable. This is an important one. This is like, thank you, Canada. Stable scale degrees are scale degree 1 and scale degree 3 at the end of a phrase. Let me read this again. Stable scale degrees, which are 1 and 3, at the end of a phrase make a melody sound finished, much like a period at the end of a sentence. Scale degrees 1 and 3 are notes of the tonic triad. Scale degrees 1 and 3 at the end of a phrase make a melody sound finished, much like a period at the end of a sentence. Scale degrees 1 and 3 are in the major triad, major tonic triad. Unstable scale degrees 2 and 7 at the end of a phrase make a melody sound unfinished, like a comma in the middle of a sentence. The melody will sound like it wants to pause before it continues with an answering phrase. Scale degrees 2 and 7 are notes of the dominant triad. Are we all right with that? Next, a period typically consists of 2 4-measure phrases. The first phrase often poses a musical question and ends on an unstable scale degree. Which numbers are unstable scale degrees, class? 2 and 7. That is right. The question phrase is also called the antecedent. The second phrase often provides a musical answer and ends on a stable scale degree. Which scale degrees are stable, class? 1 and 3. The answer phrase is also called the consequent. So they tell us to play Ode to Joy by Beethoven. The first and second phrases begin with the same melodic material. This is an example of a parallel period. Hey, we ended on scale degree 2, which is an unstable scale degree. And we ended on a stable scale degree number 1. Phrases can be identified using letters. A is used to identify the first phrase and any other phrases in the piece that are exactly the same. A prime is used to identify phrases that are similar to A but not exactly the same. And B is used to identify phrases that are different or contrasting. Are we all right with that? Was that helpful?
You're right. It was much simpler.
Yeah. Why can't we all be Canadians? Can't Canada just adopt us?
Yo, Doc. Remember what I said last semester?
No, what did you say last semester?
Thanks to Canada for Nickelback.
We can forgive him for that, can't we? All right. What's wrong with Nickelback? There was like this add-on for Facebook. You could click on something and it would tell you how many of your friends liked Nickelback so you could unfriend them. This is a long time ago.
Jeez.
Okay, so now we're hopping to Celebrate Theory, level 6. And this is what they say. They want us to compose a parallel period. How would we do that? How do you compose a parallel period? What are the things that you need to compose a parallel period?
2 phrases that are not necessarily the same, but similar.
Both phrases begin with the same melodic material. Both of the phrases start with that. Right? So we have to have same melodic material to begin both phrases. The first phrase ends on an unstable pitch, which we are calling scale degrees 2 and 7. These phrases can be labeled A and A prime. And this is a parallel period. Here's another one. Are you listening? It's a parallel period. So, 4 measure phrases. First 2 measures of both phrases are identical. We ended on an unstable pitch, and we for phrase 1, and then for phrase 2, we ended on a stable pitch. There were some non-chord tones. That's not true. This melody also includes notes that do not belong to the chords of the harmony, but they fill in the skips between chord notes. We refer to these as non-chord tones. I was right. Because they do not belong to the chords, the non-chord tones have been circled or put in brackets.
So, but those two things made a period?
They made a parallel period.
Okay.
Why did they make a parallel period?
Because they began with the same
Yep.
melodic
That's right.
line.
Questions, comments, concerns. Could you write a parallel period? Ooh, let's do this together. I'm going to give you a little melody. I'm going to share my screen with you. We are going to be in the key of F major. We are going to be in 3/4. And we're going to go like this. And we are trying to keep the harmony of F, which we're going to call tonic, C, which we're going to call dominant, F, C, they're going to give us F, C, A.
Are you taking this from somewhere or are you making it up?
I'm stealing this straight from Canada, level 6.
Do I make the joke that you used the wrong Roman numeral in the 4th measure?
Yes, please. You don't like my Roman numeral?
That would be a crazy chord right there.
Fine, I'll fix it for Catherine. Try to get creative. No points for creativity. There you go. Finish that phrase. Then we're going to have you do it again down here. But what's going to change?
End on F.
You got it. All right, so here's the melody they gave us. You have to fill in the rest. Can you do it?
You have to go to an F note after the E.
Why is that?
Leadington.
Good. What pitch do we want to end on?
Maybe a G.
I like
Or-
it. Like it a lot. Because it's unstable scale degree 2, right? Okay, and then right here we got to start the same, don't we?
So in order for it to be a parallel period, how long do you have to keep doing the same melody before breaking off from it?
It didn't say. It just said both phrases begin with the same melodic
Through
material.
the phrase.
It was like 4 notes or something.
This is 6 notes here.
I was gonna ask that question too. That's so crazy. I just thought it was stupid, but I was
Oh.
like, okay, maybe it's in the answers.
Hey, ask all your stupid
Hey.
questions. Ask all your stupid questions in the chat as a private message, and I'll answer them, and I won't out you. I won't say now.
I'll just say my
Sophia
stupid
Ruby,
questions.
that
It's
was
okay.
the dumbest question I've ever heard. I'll say I have a friend in the chat that's wanting to know. You know what I mean? Ask those dumb questions. Hey, what do you think of my parallel period? Is yours anything like it?
It's not yours, it's Canada's, right?
No, I composed the whole second half. I borrowed the first 2 measures, which is considered fair use, right? Can't even play my own piece. Story of my life.
There's one problem with it.
Okay.
There's multiple vocal points.
Focal points. I agree. So I want to go higher and measure 7.
Put a high C in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the high C and down the scale. And my C is in the way. Let's try it. Just give me the Emmy and the Academy Award, the Tony. I want them all.
Do you need a focal
Grammy?
point for a period?
You need a focal point for life.
Darn. It's deep.
The teacher has appropriately applied the material.
Are we all right with that? The teacher adequately inspires me to do my best work. So the answer key says something like, answers will vary. Yep. Okay. I used to have a workbook. Where did it go? Aha. So what we just did, I bet you, is going to show up in our workbook. Chapter 10. All right. Shall we have a look-see at those? All right, here we go. We're fast forwarding to chapter 10. Cadences, phrases, periods, and sentences. Cadences using only triads in root position and first inversion. Compose examples of the following cadences. Each example should include 3 chords, the 2 cadence chords plus 1 chord preceding the cadence. Include key signatures and Roman numerals. So we're going to be writing cadences, page 1 and page 2. Page 2, we're also doing an analysis of a Schumann symphony.
Are they asking for periods on there or
Yeah.
sentences? The instructions are really hard to understand.
Yeah, we'll do one of these together. How about that? We'll look at that one in a second. So we're doing a lot of analysis of pieces and making diagrams. I love diagrams. They are so fun. They don't make you compose anything except for cadences. I'm offended. All right. Workbook doesn't look too bad, just a lot of diagrams, which are not fun. So we have 8 pages in the workbook this week. Page 1 is the cadences, page 1.5, and then we do a lot of analysis. So let's do one together. We do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 diagrams. And then at the very end, they give you this little chord review. Can you write the chords that they ask for? So let's talk about diagrams, shall we? Shall we hop over to the text and see what it looks like? You want to try to do one of these on our own? No one's sure.
Size 10-1 B1.
Diagram the form of this excerpt. Each phrase can be analyzed as a sentence. Show X and X prime with brackets for each phrase in the score. This is a symphony that they've made into a piano reduction, which makes it very awkward. Let's hop over to the book and see what the book does. Well, boo. Is this 11? This is summary. I like their summaries. They're kind of nice. I didn't want that. I want this. Okay. So remember, do you guys remember sentences? A sentence is characterized by immediate repetition or variation of a musical idea followed by a motion toward a cadence. Unlike the period, a sentence is typically, though not always, a single phrase in length. The formal diagram of a sentence is shown next. The idea and its variant are indicated as X and X prime. Going backwards in the text, periods have two phrases punctuated by a cadence, with the second cadence being stronger than the first. So there are two diagrams of periods. So we're going to start to draw diagrams of music that they give us. There's a parallel period. Phrase A prime, labeling the cadences. Here is a double period. So we've got the bracket for a double period. We've got the bracket for the antecedent phrase. We have the antecedent half and the bracket for the consequent half, made up of two phrases, the second of which is punctuated by a cadence, and then the consequence half, two phrases punctuated by a stronger cadence. So a double period, usually 4 phrases. Cadence at the end of the second pair, stronger than the cadence of the first pair. Here's a parallel double period. What makes it parallel? Ode to Joy, baby. We start with the beginning material.
Beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got A, B prime. Are we doing all right? We listened to that strange Mozart sonata last time. Do you remember this?
Example 10:17.
Cadence. Final. So we had a melodic idea, didn't end in a cadence. We had a variation of that melodic idea, didn't end in a cadence. And then we had something that led us finally to a cadence, and that's a sentence.
So that whole thing, that whole passage was a sentence.
Yeah. And what I want you to do, even is, in your diagrams, is be even specific, more specific than they are. So we would put 1 there. And then we would put, we would put 7 there, 9 there. So we would do this. Actually, we would do it here. 7, 9, and then this happens at 16.
Oh, okay. Imagine so.
Just measure numbers. That's all. All right. Here's
Why would
another-
you write the measure numbers on the brackets if
Why?
you're literally writing it into the score?
You're
And
not. You're not writing it into the score
where are we writing it then?
on a piece of paper.
Oh,
I guess you could write it on the score. You could write it on the score and not have to do that. My teachers never had me diagram on a score. Is that weird?
Well, we're just learning this, so I guess not.
You could do it either way. However you want. It doesn't matter to me.
Example 10:18.
Ah, deceptive cadence. And we finally cadence on a perfect authentic cadence. All right, Beethoven. Opus 49, number 1, second movement.
Example 10:19.
All right, that was fun. Double sentence. Because the length of the initial idea may vary in size, the sentence itself can be of different lengths. Measures 1 through 4 of the Beethoven we just listened to feature a 4-measure sentence that begins with 2 1-measure ideas. The same is true of measures 5 through 8. Towards the other end of the spectrum is the 14-measure sentence shown in the Haydn String Quartet, Opus 77, number 1, first movement, in which the initial ideas are each 4 measures long. Because of the length of this passage, it might be easier to hear this sentence as containing 2 phrases, with X and X prime as the first phrase and the remaining material as the second phrase. So now is when we get to call things whatever we want.
Example 10:20.
Doesn't Haydn just make you smile? Okay, question in the chat was, what makes these different from motives? Because there's a goal, question mark? That is a great question. When we go back to the sentence, it says, one such unit, the sentence, is characterized by the immediate repetition of variation of a musical idea. I don't think there's anything different, Pete, to be honest. Because except a motive can be rhythmic. And we're specifically talking about musical ideas, which they don't necessarily say melodic ideas.
Canadians specified, I think, didn't they? It had to
Canada?
be, yeah, that it
Canadian.
had to be melodic.
Well, Canada said a motive could be melodic or rhythmic. Our book says it can be melodic or rhythmic or both, but it doesn't say.
I thought you said at the beginning of the class, not for motive, but for period, that it had to be melodic, like the, or for a double period, I guess, or parallel. That's
For
the
a
word.
parallel period, it has
Yeah.
to start with the same melodic material. But the question in the chat was, what makes these sentence X's
Then never mind.
different than a motive? And it's a great question. I don't see a lot of difference, to be honest.
So motives can be, it kind of depends on the form, I guess. Motives can be anywhere. Is that?
Yeah, I look at motives as like atoms or material. Like it's the smallest material, motivic, the smallest musical idea. These are pretty small in the Beethoven that we just listened to. Where are you, Beethoven? Six notes. We're talking about 6 notes. The only smaller motive other than that from Beethoven was 4 notes. So I think they're interchangeable.
Are those two different motives because they're on different pitches, or?
Well, you could say that those two motives are the same rhythmically, but they are different pitch-wise. But you could also say one's a major third, one's a minor third. I'm looking to Canada again. And from here, they go to non-chord tones, which we're going to go to later. So good news. Canada can bail us out again. Stay tuned. All right. So we were listening to Beethoven, and then we listened to Haydn. Let's listen to the Haydn again. It's kind of fun, makes you happy. But this is a long sentence, 14 measures in length. We finally get to our cadence.
Example 10, 20.
Finally, a cadence point of rest. Are we all right with that? Questions, comments, concerns, dumb questions in the chat? All right, for an interesting twist, look back at example 10-19 for a moment and notice the weak, strong cadence pattern formed by its phrases. This cadence pattern would allow us to treat the two sentences as the antecedent phrase and consequent phrase of a parallel period. There are many examples in music of passages like this where one formal type appears inside another. And you're just going to see more and more of this as we go along. Trying to disguise it as this or that, or make it a hybrid of that and a hybrid of that. It's going to be fun.
Can a sentence be a period if a sentence is only supposed to be used basically once and a period could be used multiple times?
Where does it say that a sentence can only be used once?
Can you go back to the sentence thing? Because they say that there's a difference between the two.
Unlike the period, a sentence is typically, though not always, a single phrase in length.
Okay.
Doesn't say it can't be repeated, though, right? All right. So we were supposed to be looking back at Beethoven here, and what are we looking for? The weak, strong cadence pattern formed by its phrases. This cadence pattern would allow us to treat the two sentences as the antecedent phrase and consequent phrase of a parallel period. There are many examples in music passages. All right, so parallel periods got to start with the same stuff. Do we? We get our half cadence, and we get our final stronger
So
cadence.
should we be like labeling all that should apply?
Yeah,
D, all of the above?
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, just start looking for it. You're going to have to when you do your homework, when you do your workbook. Yeah?
Okay, so at measure 4, there was a half cadence.
There was.
That's what. Okay, so it makes it a period, as well as a sentence. I thought the sentence didn't necessarily. It worked towards a cadence, but
Yep.
didn't have necessarily periods in it.
It's characterized by the immediate repetition or variation of a musical idea followed by a motion toward a cadence. So here's our motion to the cadence.
Are there points where sentences aren't periods? And if there are, what are they like?
Well, yeah, it wasn't the one that we already looked at.
I don't know, I'm confused.
It's fun, isn't it? Let's take this Mozart.
Example 10:17.
How
So-
isn't that a period?
How is that not a period?
Yeah.
What's a period?
Two phrases, antecedent and consequent,
And
that end in
Cadence.
cadence.
Yeah.
Say that again, Pete.
It's two phrases,
Yep.
one antecedent, one consequent.
Yep.
Both phrases ending in cadences.
So the difference
The
is
second one's stronger.
right. The difference is a sentence doesn't have a phrase. A sentence has a melodic idea. Right?
Yes, but the Beethoven,
Yeah.
you said it had I thought you said it had a phrase.
Uh-uh.
No.
No, the Beethoven has a 6-note motive. What do we have to have a phrase?
A cadence.
Cadence.
Yep.
We have to have a cadence to have a phrase.
Okay, but didn't the Beethoven have a half cadence and a pack?
It had a half cadence at the end of its sentence. Yes, it did, but it didn't have any phrases. Right? Melodic idea, motion towards a cadence. Melodic idea, motion toward a cadence. But it doesn't have a phrase.
So could you see a sentence as a phrase then?
Sure. It's all going to get totally vague and blurry, as it already has.
I'm like, that's long gone. I hope it doesn't get worse.
It's
Am I right? What?
only going to get worse.
And we thought chapter 2 was bad.
Yeah, chapter.
Oh
2 is
my
horrible.
god. This blows that out of the water.
Forget chapter 2. This is much harder.
With his maniacal
Chapter
laughter.
What?
All right. When you are listening to and analyzing a group of phrases for the first time, it is useful to think about certain musical features that can enable you to distinguish among different kinds of forms. The following clues, when considered in combination, can serve as effective points of orientation. Number 1, look for the location of repetitions, exact or varied, of the initial measures. If a repetition occurs somewhere in the middle of the passage, a parallel period or some kind of repeated form is likely a possibility. If it occurs immediately after the initial measures, a sentence or a sentence nested inside a larger period is possible. Note also that repetitions in parallel periods are typically exact or very similar, whereas repetitions in sentences may be exact or quite varied. Does that help? Number 2, look for the location and number of very strong cadences, unambiguous packs, half cadences, or root position IACs. Periods tend to feature at least 2 of these, 4 or more in the case of some double periods. But sentences only contain 1. They contain only 1 at or near the end. That's helpful. Number 3, look at the order and pattern of cadences. If the cadence pattern repeats itself, such as half cadence, perfect, authentic cadence, half cadence, perfect, authentic cadence, a repeated period or sentence is likely. If there is a single strong cadence, a sentence is likely. If there are many strong cadences, a double period is possible. We would want to look for repetition of the initial measures to find the beginning of the consequent phrase. Let's dive in. I hate how they don't play these. Well, they did for that one. All right, identify the cadence type for each example that follows. For each IAC, provide a modifier, root position, inverted, or leading tone. Do we even remember that stuff?
IAC means there's an inversion in one of them, right? I believe.
The IAC means it's an imperfect authentic cadence, meaning do does not appear in the soprano voice. Right?
Right. It could be
Big
root
five.
position or it could be inverted. Right.
But do will not be in soprano.
Yeah. And it would be 5 or 1, right?
It would,
What?
would be
I don't
5 or-
remember.
What would be 5 or 1?
An IAC?
It would be 5 going to 1, yes.
Okay.
That's a perfect authentic cadence because I went T, do, and my soprano ended on do. But if I went re, mi, it's an IAC because the sopranos did not get do. Or if I went fa, mi, sopranos didn't get do, it's an IAC. Right? Number 1, we're in the key of B flat. What is it?
It's an IAC.
IAC. But they want a modifier. Is it a root position, inverted, or leading tone? IAC.
Just root position, right?
Yep. It is a root position. Number 2, we are in E minor. So these are not all IACs, right? Just to be clear. Identify the cadence type for each example that follows. For each IAC, provide the modifier, root position, inverted, or leading tone. What kind of cadence?
There are IACs, perfect cadences, or PACs, half cadences, and is there one more?
There's deceptive cadences. There are
Deception.
Phrygian cadences.
Is it a half cadence?
It is not, well, it is partially a half cadence.
What? I hate this.
It is a half cadence, Skylar, in the fact that it
Okay.
goes to 5. You're right.
Was that the Phrygian cadence right there?
Yeah, it's the Phrygian cadence.
All
Who
right.
remembers the Phrygian half cadence?
I just remember it's minor.
Good. It's in minor.
Does it have something to do with
Oh, and
4?
it's a 4/5. That's right.
It's a 4 with an inversion, I think.
First inversion.
All right. Do you remember this
What
little
keep
matchy
saying?
matchy? It's a 4/6 to 5 in minor. Yeah. The Phrygian cadence happens in minor.
And this is the half cadence that nobody ever finds, right? This is the albino alligator. Happens very rarely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounded very cool though.
Yeah. All right. Can we go back to where we were? So we have 8 types of cadences. Do you want to do this matchy matchy real quick, just as a review?
G goes to 1.
Try again. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. I'm sorry. I misread. G goes to 1. I was looking at A when you said G. What else?
A to 2.
A to 2.
You know it's a gnarly chapter when Doc B is confused.
Yeah. So tired. I judged a piano competition over the weekend and put in a presentation for a national conference, and I'm shot. Half cadence is anything to 5, correct? Plagal cadence, also called the Amen cadence.
4 to B.
1.
Deceptive cadence.
5 to 6.
That's a good name for our government too. Washington Deceptive Cadence.
Inverted IAC.
F.
And the leading tone IAC.
E.
We good with that? You got your screenshot? I need a screenshot. That's like Instagram worthy right there, I tell you what. Coming soon to Doc B. Instagram, whatever the heck it is. All right, so we're fast forwarding to self-test 10, where we were. We were looking at example 2, which was a Phrygian. Come back, come back. Where did I miss it? One more? No, I didn't want that. I wanted that. Where is it? There we go. Self-test A, 2, E minor. We decided it was a Phrygian half cadence. Because we went 4, 6 to 5 in minor. No. I'm sorry. What did we do? We were Phrygian. There's our 4, 6 to 5 in minor. All right, number 3, we are in G major. Just kidding, that's not what happened. What was that?
Deceptive.
It faked me out. Deceptive cadence. Number 4, we're in minor.
It's a pack, right?
No.
Half IAC.
No.
Oh, Plagal?
It's a plagal.
Okay.
4 to 1.
Again?
No, not a Phrygian. A plagal. Don't get your 2 P's mixed up.
Plagal's the Amen.
Amen cadence in minor.
That's what they do.
I
in
think
good
they're using it way more than they actually mentioned it in
The plagal?
The
Or the
actual-
Phrygian?
the Phrygian.
The
Wait, so you are
Phrygian's the
using...
albino alligator.
Okay, it's just in minor. Never mind.
Yeah, right. They tricked us by putting a 4-1 in minor. We're used to it at church. The amen at the end, but they snuck it into us on minor. Amen. And we're used to the soprano having the fa to me, fa me, and they didn't give us that at all. Lay do. What? All right, number 5. We're in D major.
That's the pack.
That's a pack.
Isn't that the whatchamacallit? Inverted?
All y'all are wrong.
No, leading tone.
Leading tone.
Oh,
We went 7-1. There is no A in that chord, which we would need to have for it to be a 5-1. Those sneaky little devils getting us again. All right, number 6. Heads up, we're in G minor. Nobody wants to answer anymore. Be wrong in the chat.
The pack there. We can be wrong.
It's a pack. What kind of pack? We need a qualifier if we're going to call it a pack. Is it root position, leading tone, or
Wait, is it
inverted?
actually?
It is a pack.
it's
Oh shit. I mean, shoot. I said shoot.
Okay, where do you
wait.
guys?
I thought the pack had to have the
5-1. But
5 to 1, but it doesn't it have to have the tonic in the soprano? So wouldn't this be an IAC?
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. I'm sorry. Yes, it is nyack.
Okay, that's why I'm so confused.
I'm waiting for you guys to give me the qualifier of the IAC, and we called it a pack. That's confusing. Yes, it is a pack. An IAC. Yes, it is an IAC. What kind is it?
I think what I said earlier, the inverted, right?
What's the definition of an inverted?
First inversion?
Oh wait,
You have to have something besides the G in the bass.
yeah, that's
To
what it
have
is.
B or D. So
Say what? Say that again, Ethan.
That wasn't me that said that.
Yeah, I know, but you were saying that you think it's an inverted IAC, right?
Yeah, but I don't think that it is because I think the inversion needs to happen on the ending chord.
Let's look it up. Inverted IAC is F, right? 5 to 1 6.
Yeah, so it's not that.
However, that's what the book's calling it. Oh, IAC, where are you? With either or both of the chords inverted. 5/7 to 1 with either or both of the chords inverted. Make sense? Tricky Devil's got us again. So the first chord is inverted. And that's why they're calling it an inverted iac. You with me? All right, number 7. Don't let them get you. We're in A major.
Septic cadence.
That sounds gross.
It's a half cadence, right?
Half cadence. Good. Number 8, B minor.
Okay, is that a pack?
That is a pack.
Just kidding. Joke's on you. It's the 7 to 1 leading Chone one. There are no packs in this.
All right.
Make you feel unsatisfied.
I'm going to kind of skip over the self-test. Is that okay? I'd rather hop into doing workbook stuff. Is that okay? Okay. So I'm going to let you do cadences on your own. We listened to this Schumann earlier. Let's listen to it again. They're telling us flat out, each phrase can be analyzed as a sentence. That's confusing. That's confusing verbiage. So we're looking for sentences. We're looking for X and X prime. And then we're going to be looking for some kind of a cadence, aren't we?
Exercise 10-1, B1.
Okay. What are we calling X? It's just a melodic idea or rhythmic idea, right?
First 4 notes in the soprano. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, wait. First 3 notes?
Yeah.
Then just kind of keeps going until the half cadence, right? For the sentence.
Yeah. And then what happens?
Would there be two more sentences? Right. At
There was another sentence. There's got to be a cadence between them.
right. I think the second cadence would be measure the
4
second
to
line.
5.
And is that an ellipse or I can't remember the name.
So they're calling this a parallel period. They're calling this a phrase. And they're calling this a phrase. And they're calling the whole shebang a parallel period. That's why I don't like doing it on the score, because it gets so messy. So if we did this not on the score, how is this possible? Well, come back, come back. If we did this not on the score, it would be like... So we have a parallel period. We have an A phrase. Jump. Killing. And we have an A prime, and they should be equal length, but my second one looks bigger. We've got a half cadence here at measure 8. And we've got a pack here. At measure 16.
Just a quick question on the pack. So because it's a cadential 6/4, it's not an inverted I act, right? It's
correct.
Okay.
You've got do in the bass and do in the bass.
Why is A smaller than A prime?
It shouldn't be. That's what I said. I said I'm murdering it, slaughtering it. They should be the same length.
Okay, I heard that A prime was bigger than A, or however you phrased
Yeah,
it.
I drew it bigger and I shouldn't have. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
And then they go on and they also let you know that X happens 1 through 2. X prime happens 3 through 4. And then X happens 9 through 10.
Is it X again? Even if it's not the same notes?
Yeah, because it's a new sentence. And X prime 11 through 12.
That could get confusing real fast.
Yeah. So I was going to ask measure 5 through 7. I mean, that wouldn't qualify as a sentence because it's going towards a cadence.
No, sentences end in cadences.
Yeah, and it's a fragment of the original, isn't it?
Does that count as driving towards a cadence?
Yep. He has fun with the rhythm. He accents the weak beats, the off beats. Right here, he's emphasizing beat 3, which is a weak beat. All right, so that's number 1 on your workbook.
Wait. When we marked X and X prime, ours was a little bit bigger than like 1 and 1, 2. So ours would play from measure 1 into like measure 3. Is there a reason they say it's 1 to 2 and not like 1 and like the first beat of measure 3? Or
Say that again.
so when you were marking it out earlier, you marked it from measure 1 and it bled over into measure 3 because it takes a little bit more space than just measure 1 and 2. Is there a reason they just marked it as 1 and 2?
No. It's the anacrusis plus only into measure. This is not a measure 1. This is an anacrusis.
Oh yeah.
That's measure 1. That's measure 2. Measure 3 is here. So, yeah, don't count anacrusis as 1. And technically, it starts beat 3 of measure 2 and takes up 3 and 4. But because we had an anacrusis, they're just calling that 3 and 4. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. If I did not mark you here, you might want to let me know that you're here so you get marked here today.
I'm here.
See you all tomorrow.
I'm here.
I'm here doesn't tell me your name.
Zachary.
Thanks, Dr. B.
Thanks,
Bye.
Dr. B.
Hey, Dr. B.
Yeah.
It's the other Ethan who said he was here.
Okay.
Wait, did he catch me, Dr. B? Zach?
Yeah, I'll get you.
Okay.
Have a good one.
See ya.